All right, ratios and unit rates. So ratios, a comparison of two quantities that have to have the same units using division. So a comparison of two quantities using division. And it's division because when we express ratios, we write them, one of the ways that we write a ratio is a fraction, okay? So it can be written as three ways. You can use a little word too, okay? You can use a colon, okay? That's a colon. Or you set up as a fraction. Okay, and of course, when you express it as a fraction, that the fraction means division, okay? So when you are simplifying a ratio, remember a ratio is also a fraction. It's a comparison of two quantities. You must simplify it just like a fraction, but never write it, okay? You don't want to write it as a mixed number, okay? That means you have a whole number and a fraction. You always want to write it as a improper fraction. But if it's, you don't want to write it as a mixed number, all right? So never write it as a mixed number. So let's look at some examples of ratios, okay? So there are 20 NC State fans and 8 UNC fans and 4 Duke fans in math. Find the ratios of students. So again, I'm comparing State fans, UNC fans, and Duke fans. So I want to compare NC State fans to UNC fans. So how many NC State fans I have? I have 20. So again, I have 20. And then how many UNC fans? I have 8. Okay, the order matters. So I want to list 20 first because I'm comparing NC State to UNC. So NC State's listed first. So 20, so I can express it as a colon. 20 to 8, that's the colon. I can express it as the little word 2, or I can express it as a fraction, 20 over 8. Okay, there's 3 ways of doing this. All right. Then I want to simplify this. So think of a number I can divide both, goes into 20 and 8. So the greatest common factor, or what's the greatest number that can go in, will be 4. So 20 divided by 4 will give you 5. And 8 divided by 4 would give you 2. Okay, so this would be 5 to 2, 5 over 2 as a fraction. That's an improper fraction, that's okay. As a ratio, never put this in a mixed number, okay? Keep it as an improper fraction. We're talking about ratios. So that's just simplified, okay? So again, I'm comparing NC State fans to UNC fans, and I'm simplifying it. So that means for every 5 NC State fans, there's 2 UNC fans, okay? Let's compare Duke fans to NC State fans. So Duke fans, how many Duke fans do I have? I have 4 Duke fans. So I got 4, 2, and then NC State, I have 4 Duke to NC State 20, 4 to 20. Okay, so I can express 4 to 20. I can do 4, 2, little word 2, or I could do 4 out of 20. Okay, and then I can reduce it. Well, what goes into 4 and 20? Well, I can divide both by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Same thing here. And then 1 over 5. So that means for every 1 Duke fan, I have 5 NC State fans, okay? Now I wanted to compare UNC fans to Duke fans. So how many UNC fans do I have? I have 8 UNC fans. And I have 4 Duke fans. So 8 to 4, using a colon. 8 to 4, using the word 2. And then 8 over 4, using a fraction. Then I'm going to simplify it. So what can go in 4 and 8 is 4. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 2 to 1. 2 to 1. and then 2 over 1. Yes, you want to put the 1 over there under the, even though it's a whole number, 2 over 1, you want to still write it because you're comparing two things, okay? You don't want to just write 2. 2 is your mixed number version. You want to keep that 1 under there because you're comparing. Remember, when you're doing ratios, you're comparing something. So it's important that you leave the 1 under there as a fraction, okay? All right, so then on this side, okay, you try this side over here on your own. So I'm comparing students. I got students have an iPad and 15 students have an iPhone. So you're comparing iPad to iPhone. So I want you to find the ratios of who, number 1, who has an iPhone to iPad, who has an iPad to iPhone, and then who has an iPad to the whole class. Well, if you're doing the whole class, you would have to add both the iPad and the iPhones. That's how many, okay? 15 plus 5 out of 20, okay? So you do 1, 2, and 3 on your own, this section right here, and I want you to express it in the 3 different ways. I want to make sure, you need to make sure you simplify it as well, just like we did in the example with the state fans, UNC fans, and Duke fans, okay? So do that. So pause the video and do this part, okay? So let's talk about rates. Okay, a rate is a ratio comparing two quantities, okay, with different units, okay, with different units, okay, so two quantities comparing two quantities with different units, okay. So I drove 350 miles on 70 gallons of gas. And you would write this as a ratio, also known as a fraction. So really, ratios, remember, ratios are the same thing as fractions, comparing two things. So I'm going to write 350 miles over 70 gallons of gas. Okay? So, and then I would just divide. Okay, so I have 350 divided by 70 would give me 5 on top. So you're talking about 5 miles per 1 gallon. Again, it is a rate, so you want to still express 5 miles per 1 gallon. Okay, so I just simplified. So now you're going to do 12, I'm comparing hours to inches. Okay, so I got 12 hours over 9 inches. So that means I want to know how many hours can I go on 1 inch, or how many inches per, or how many hours per inch, okay? And I can simplify that. So that's going to equal, well, 12 and 9 will both 3 can go in both 12 and 9, so divide by 3. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 4 hours. And then 9 divided by 3 is 3. So for every 4 hours, I go how many inches, okay? Again, I'm doing a rate. Rates are going to be comparing two quantities with different units. So you have hours and inches are different, okay? You try this one on your own, okay? You simplify. It's basically teachers. You're doing teachers to 6th graders, okay? I'm comparing teachers to 6th graders. So you just all you gotta do is divide 486 divide by, oh sorry, you're doing 14 teachers on top, 486. You're gonna simplify that. What does that simplify to? Okay, so what number goes into 14 and what number goes into 486 to get simplified? All you're doing is simplifying this fraction. So finish that one, okay? So pause and do this one. And then unit rates. Unit rates is when a rate simplifies so that it has a denominator of 1, okay? Has a denominator of 1, okay? So it's kind of similar to rates, but the difference between rates and unit rate is that with unit rates, it has a denominator of 1. So the bottom number is 1. So a Japanese bullet train travels 558 miles in 3 hours. How far does it travel in 1 hour? Okay, so I'm going to write it as a rate. So as a ratio or comparison of two things, 558 miles over 3 hours. So I want to know how many miles per 1 hour, okay? And all I have to do is divide, okay? Well, I don't have a calculator on me, so I'm just going to do it the long way. Okay, so I'm just going to divide. 3 into 55 goes, 3 into 5 goes once. Usually I'm going to use a calculator, but I don't have one handy. So 3 into 25 goes 8. 3 and 18 is 6. So 186 per 1 hour. So that bottom number has to be 1. And I'm going to write it this way too. Whenever I'm doing unit rates, I have to do it, the units. I got to write the units, miles per 1 hour, okay? And then I have which one has a better deal, okay? So I've got Harris Teeter, okay? And I have Publix, okay? Whenever I'm comparing what I have the better deal, who's cheaper, that's basically better deal is who is cheaper, okay? What's the least expensive, okay? So I can get 12 pounds of turkey for $39.99, or I can do 10 pounds of turkey for $33.50, okay? Always, always, when you're doing better deal, when you're doing unit price, this is also unit price, okay? You always want to put the money on top. Always put the money on top. So $1. So Harris Teeter, we can get $39.99 divided by 12 pounds. Publix, I want to do $33 divided by 10 pounds, okay? So when I divide this in my calculator, I'm going to get something, money per 1 pound, right? And if I divide $33.50 divided by 10, I'm going to get whatever the cost is divided by 1 pound, right? This is 1 pound. Okay, this is 1. Okay? So on your own, if you have a calculator, just divide. $39.99 divided by 12, what do you get? $33.50 divided by 10, what do you get? Then what I want you to do, which one's cheaper, okay? Harris Teeter or Publix? Circle the one that's cheaper, okay? So you go ahead and finish that up. So make sure you have these notes completed, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about ratios and unit rates in class.